Hello, everyone. Welcome into Yelling from the Couch. I'm Brent Humphries, joined by my co-host Gordon Chatterton, and we're here for the college football edition of this podcast. Gordon, I know we'll talk about it in a little bit, but man, the semifinals are coming up tomorrow. I think these playoffs have been pretty good so far, actually, if, just looking, through a neutral eye here. But man, how are you doing? You doing all right?
I'm doing good. Yeah. Semifinals got some good, to the eye, neutral, good games last week, except for one game. And I'm not talking about mine. I'm talking about the Indiana-Alabama game. That was not a good game. A straight up ass whooping is not a good game if you're not for either side. You know what I mean? Now, if you're an Indiana fan, that was an awesome game. You couldn't have asked for a better game. If you was an Alabama fan, that was the worst game you could have ever asked for. But from a neutral site, no, that looked like the NFL playing high school JV is what it looked like. That was comparison. It was atrocious. It was bad.
Yeah, and like you don't expect to see, Alabama play that way in a playoff game. Even though Saban's not there, it's still Alabama. You expect them to put up some sort of fight, especially against a team like Indiana, who's not a power traditionally. Now things may be changing now, but you think that game right there, I think we both picked Alabama on this podcast last week.
Yeah, we did.
Boy, we missed that one by.
I think my issue so far in these picks in college football since the playoffs started, I've been, championship week. I think I'm going more by who I want to win as opposed to who I think will win. Now, yeah, I thought Ohio State could win, and they could have won if Julian Sain was, a little bit more competent against the pass rush. Evidently, he hadn't seen it all year, and when Indiana did it, they did the blueprint. Miami did the exact same thing and rattled his cage and rattled it early.
Yeah, it sure did, and we'll dive deep into it here in just a little bit, but I thought that was probably the second most entertaining game of the weekend. That being number one would be, for me, Ole Miss, Georgia. They finished it off New Year's Day, back and forth. These two had a good game in the regular season, and Ole Miss gets them back in this game.
Yeah, which goes to the old adage. It's hard to beat the same team twice in the same season when you're the same caliber of team. Yeah, Ole Miss did against Tulane, but that was Tulane. I mean, not knocking them, but they're not Power 4 level.
Not even close to being Power 4 level with them. And then the other game, Oregon, Texas Tech. I mean, we both thought Texas Tech's defense still played pretty good, but their offense, man, they just couldn't get nothing going on offense at all.
As good as their defense played, that's how bad their offense played. I was like, where the hell, the team we saw all year, where in the hell did it go? The offense, even when they lost that one game, the offense still did something. Well, you can't ask the defense to hold them to nothing the entire game. I mean, they played. Oregon's a good offense.
Oh, yeah, Oregon's a good offense and everything, but Texas Tech's defense pretty good. But that offense, Morton, he played, and we thought, hey, he's going to be, he's back to himself. He's 100% healthy. We heard, and man, he just looked horrible. He didn't look good at all.
Yeah, he kind of looked like some of them emojis I sent, a dumpster fire. That was just bad. I mean, the way he played, I don't think he could have started for the right side.
Not the way he played in that game. And before we're going to break down the games here in just a second, kind of recap them a little bit. But I think that last week, actually, if we go by our picks, 1-4 for me, or 1-3 for me, and 0-4 for you on the college football playoff picks. It is what it is. But yeah, that's where we're at right now on that with the picks last week. Like you said, we were kind of going with who we wanted to win and maybe not who we thought would win.
But to be honest, Texas Tech, I just flat out missed because I actually thought they would win that one.
I thought they would too. And like I said, their defense is what we thought would carry them. And they carried them as far as they could, but you still got to put up something on offense. You got to get past the midfield at some point in time.
Yeah. Yeah. As far as you get is your own 47, you're not doing good.
No, you're not doing good at all. And then, so some little offseason news here for Kentucky football. Will Stein still coaching in the playoffs. Kentucky's quarterback Cutter Boley hit the transfer portal and is gone. Gordon, he ends up at Arizona State. What do you think about Cutter leaving Kentucky? We cut her loose.
Well, in a way, it's bad because he was the best quarterback you had last year, and it's the one you didn't pay. At least I don't know that we know of. He may have got a little something, but
not much as Calzada.
No, and Calzada just fleeced him. Yeah, that's just bad. I mean, I was kind of hoping to see Cutter Boley again because get him a better coach and a better offensive game plan, he might actually be able to do something. But I mean, if they didn't improve that line, could you really blame him?
No, but they're trying to go improve that line. They've signed 2 guys out of the portal so far, or 3 maybe. A guard from Florida and a center so far from Baylor. So they're starting, I don't know. They're going to need a lot more.
Yeah, I give them an A for effort. At least they're trying. They knew where their weak spot was, and they're trying to fix it.
Yeah, they're trying to fix it. And you still got to add some more weapons around there and like you said, fix that offensive line. And then they go out. And so a quarterback they were looking at Sam Levitt from Arizona State. And Kentucky sites and everybody was getting all excited about Sam Levitt coming here. And I'm like, slow your roll. I'm not excited about Sam Levitt because I watched Sam Levitt play this year and I watched Sam Levitt play last year. 2 totally different quarterbacks. And you know the reason why? Because last year Sam Levitt led them to the playoffs, but it wasn't on him. He had a little running back there named, I don't know, Cam Scatterbo. And guess what? He didn't have him this year, and he didn't look so good. When he comes to Kentucky, he's not going to have a Cam Scatterbo.
Yeah, he's the college version of I can't even remember the guy's name.
Who's that?
Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones.
He's a college version of Daniel Jones.
Yeah, actually he is. So Kentucky, they wanted a quarterback to commit immediately. Sam Levitt didn't want to commit immediately. They were rumors that Josh Hoover was from TCU was interested. I would have been okay with that. He put up some numbers at TCU the past couple of years. But Kentucky ends up getting Kenny Minchey, I think it is, quarterback out of the portal. Minchey. I can't remember where he's Minchey. Yeah, he come from Nebraska. He was Nebraska. He was Notre Dame's backup quarterback. C.J. Carr beat him out like the last day of training camp. So he's coming into Kentucky next year to be quarterback.
Okay, well, C.J. Carr just beat him out in the last day of practice. That means he's got some skill.
Yeah, he's got some skill, and Will Stein's an offensive guy. He's coached up Denty Moore, Bo Nix, Dylan Gabriel in college. I mean, these guys were pretty good when they was at Oregon under Will Stein. So if he likes the guy, I like his choice.
Yeah. You got to trust that choice. Now, if he was a defensive coach and he liked this quarterback, you're like, hold on a second. Why do you like it?
Yeah, he's just a game manager, and we're just going to sit here and pound the rock. All right, this will be fun, which is what Mark Stoops like to do for the most part.
Yeah, you fired a guy we wanted you to fire, but you hired a guy that does the same damn thing.
Oh, boy, we're Iowa football again. Yay.
Yeah, Ohio State side, Mylan Graham, which was a 5-star recruit, wide receiver. I think he's leaving. I think he was going to Penn State. I can't remember where it was from, but anyways, he's leaving. But it's also because the opposite of, or another version of Jeremiah Smith is coming to Columbus. So he said, I ain't getting no starting time. I'm going somewhere else.
Any worries that Jeremiah Smith's going to transfer?
No, I don't think so.
There was people kind of speculating a few things there after the Miami game, and he kind of hung around on field for quite a bit with the Miami players, and people were thinking, well, that was his second choice. I don't know.
Well, if he does, I mean, I ain't going to say, I just hope I don't have to see him in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think he's going anywhere. I think he's got one more year. He's going to finish it out at Ohio State, and then he's heading off to the draft in 2027.
I would love to have number 1 pick in 2027, my team, but that ain't happening until 2028, and we probably won't have the first pick then either.
Well, you never know. Cartoon, if he gets in there and gets some run next year, you'll be lined up for that number 1 pick.
Yeah, but positive note, Trayvon Diggs looks like he's going to be sticking around in Green Bay. Of course, Micah Parsons is boy, so yeah. Parsons staying. Parsons' reason why he was such a good corner because we saw it this year. You can't hold the ball when Parsons coming. You triple team him, he'll still get through.
Yeah.
It might take him a little bit, but you can't hold the ball.
Yeah, and you could tell the big difference in Green Bay since he's went out because he ate up a
they're a
lot of
nightmare.
blockers. Yeah.
Yeah, they're a nightmare. And I was wrong about that one pick. Not only did Green Bay not win, but there was one sack, and it was not Rashawn. Yeah, at the end of 6 weeks, he had 5.5. At the end of 18, he's got 5.5.
Man, not too good the last 12 weeks there, 13 weeks.
Yeah,
12.
he might have got one more in that next game. I think he's got 6.5. I know he was going on his 9th or 10th game in a row. I think it was his 10th game that he was sackless with counting week 18. So I think he had 9 in a row that he didn't have a sack in, or not even a half.
Yeah, that's not good.
Of course, he didn't get one in the last game either.
Well, so let's go ahead and let's get to it, Gordon, here, and let's recap last week's games. On New Year's Eve, number 10 Miami Hurricanes defeated the number 2 Ohio State Buckeyes 24-14 in the, what bowl was they in that game? What was that bowl game? The Goodyear Cotton Bowl?
Yeah, I think it was the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah, Cotton Bowl. Gordon, Miami was a 9.5-point underdog, had a 14-0 lead at the half. Ohio State come back, made it 17-14, and had a chance here. What are your thoughts on the game here?
My thoughts on the game was pretty much it was just a repeat. It was a rinse and repeat of the Indiana Big Ten championship game, except that was closer. Just Miami already had the blueprint on how to stop Ohio State and how to rush them, because they did exactly what Indiana did. Miami did. I mean, they had 2 guys lined up right side by side. They found the weak link, which was the backup guard or tackle, and just doubled him and made him choose who he was going to take. And no matter what he did, he couldn't pick right. I'm not going to say that. They deserved to win that game. I thought Indiana deserved to win the Big Ten championship game. Although there was a lot of offensive holding on the Indiana side that was never called. Like I said, though, I don't want to draft another lineman for offensive lineman, but if they want to play defensive tackle, I'll play them because they can tackle well. We saw it all game.
So one of the big points in this game was Keontae Scott's pick 6 early in the second quarter. Ohio State was heading down to probably tie the game, and then he jumped a screen pass and returned it 72 yards for a touchdown, making it 14-0. I know screen passes drive you insane, Gordon. This one had to drive you nuts.
Yeah, I was looking for my foam bricks. I don't have any. I have little sponges, and I was going to use them as my foam pebbles to throw at the TV, but I didn't do it. Only thing I would have done would have probably hurt my shoulder. Yeah, screen. I mean, me and you've talked about this about nauseam, when we used to work together and when we text back and forth. Oh, okay. The screen pass can either be extremely good, which if you get caught off guard, extremely good. But when you're playing press man like Miami was, how often are you gonna catch them off guard?
Not very often.
There was 3 guys on that side where they was throwing a screen against 2, and they were playing press. Even the safety, which Xavier Scott, was even off the ball, but he was only 3 yards off the ball. They knew what was coming. You play a press man, you throw a screen anyways. I can say that's on Dave, and it kind of is because he called it, but that's more on just saying.
Just saying.
Yeah, because you had to see them pressed up against the line of scrimmage. Screens don't work. When they're like that, there's only 2 outcomes. It's either going to be bad or extremely worse.
Yeah.
And the result on that one was extremely worse.
And, so this game really came down to the trenches battle. Ohio State on the offensive side, like they couldn't block, Bain and them over there. They have 3 yards rushing at the half for the Buckeyes. Now I know that's sacks in there and everything, 5 sacks. Not a good first half for them there. And then Jaden Fielding misses a field goal before halftime. You guys ready to look for a new kicker? Because he's not it, I don't think.
No, he's been there for a while. He should be about ready to graduate.
I don't think he's going to be playing at the next level.
No. If he is, he's going to be practice squad for just in case.
Yeah, just in case, just saying.
Yeah.
A lot of justing.
Now, he's made some pretty big kicks in his career there at Ohio State, but everybody has an off year, and he had one. And I do mean off. I mean, we're talking We're talking grandpa overdrunk off your rocker off. That's how bad. I've never seen anything like it that bad. Well, except for on the next level, the guy that my team drafted, and he couldn't make a chip shot if he was standing on the crossbar. Anyways, I know that's overemphasizing it just a touch, but whatever. That's just what I do.
So, some controversies in this game. You kind of talked about it. Ryan Day's play calling. Ohio State's offensive coordinator, Brian Hartline, heading to South Florida. So, Ryan Day decides to take over the play calling duties in this game right here. Clearly, got to be a mistake right here. All these other coaches that are taking head coaching positions are staying with their teams through the playoffs. So, Ryan Day decides to take over play calling. I don't think Brian Hartline's left for South Florida. I think he was still with the team, wasn't he?
Yeah, no, he was on the sideline.
Yeah, so why is Ryan Day making the play calls all of a sudden? Why change things up?
To take a little bit off his plate.
Well, clearly didn't work.
More than likely, don't worry about let Brian Hartline call the plays. It's not like you're going to face South Florida next year in the college football playoff.
Right.
I mean, you might. It just depends on who he recruits and who he gets to come through the portal. I figure Mylan Graham would have probably went there. Like I said, he might have. I can't remember, but I remember he was transferring out. And there's a couple other guys, but I'm not worried about it. But we did get a tight end in the transfer portal. I can't remember who it was.
Well, so the Miami Hurricanes are the first double-digit seed to reach a college football semifinal, ever, of course, because they've only had 4 teams until last year, and nobody, 10 or 11 or 12 didn't make it last year. So they're the first team to do it. Also, are you sick and tired of seeing Ray Lewis and Michael Irvin on the sidelines? How many times did they show them to?
Yeah, I thought they were assistant coaches. I mean,
yeah, right?
Yeah, I mean, to me, I understand they're alum and they're superstar alum. But if you're just like Matthew McConaughey, he's not an alum, he's just superstar. But if you're not a coach and you're not affiliated with the team, I'm talking about coach, player, or you know what they should have did? If you want to stand on the sideline, hand water bottles out.
Mm-hmm.
You could be the water boy. You can't just stand there and coach. Get your ass to work. Get busy.
Instead, you see Michael Irvin after the game taking his belt off and all kinds of crazy stuff over there. And it's like, okay, I've seen too much Michael Irvin tonight. Okay, you probably see him again tomorrow night. But yeah,
I like to have seen Jeremiah Smith walk over to him and said, "I'm a better playmaker than you ever was." Because he is.
So, Gordon, you got anything else you want to add to this game here into the season for Ohio State? Good season all the way up until the postseason, and they just
my final word on this game is it smoked monkey nuts.
All right. Well, on that note, then let's go to the next game that happened, and that would be the Oregon Ducks. They beat the Texas Tech Red Raiders 23-0 in the what bowl game did they play in? The Capital One Orange Bowl, I believe. What did you think about this game, Gordon? I mean,
you want to talk about a shocker? They said Texas Tech had the best defense money could buy. Not really. It was good. Don't get me wrong. It was spectacular.
Yeah.
And considering how good Oregon is and how good their offense is, considering their offense couldn't worn out, they played better than most teams played fresh. There's only so much you can do. If you're constantly giving them the ball, at their 40, they have to go barely over half the distance of the field to get a score. You're eventually going to give up field goals and touchdowns. If you can't score no points, you've already lost.
Yeah.
But I thought their offense would put up something. Oh my God, that was hard to watch.
Yeah.
And I don't mean because Oregon's defense was so good. I mean their offense was so bad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean Oregon's got decent defense, but it's not that good.
No, it's not that elite.
No. And Texas Tech made them look like the 85 Bears.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, look at the score. Nothing.
Yeah, 23-0. Oregon held them to 215 total yards. They had 4 turnovers, and they only allowed 9 first downs. They sacked Morton 4 times. The running game had 88 yards. 50 of those come on one play.
Yeah, I mean, what the hell is going on with that team?
Oh, and then Denty Moore, he managed the game pretty good. He threw the ball to 11 different receivers out there, and they weren't great, but they were pretty efficient. They didn't have to be great in this game because Texas Tech's offense just not good.
Texas Tech, their offense needs a new offensive coordinator. I've said this name before, and I'll say it again. They need Linda Lovelace as their offensive coordinator. She might blow a few, but she won't choke on the big ones.
Well, hey, it couldn't be any worse than what they had.
God
today,
no, God no, that was.
So a little notes here before we go to the next game here. The Oregon Ducks advances to the semifinals for the first time since they've had 12 teams, which was just last year. They matched the program record with 13 wins, and now they head to the semifinals, where we'll talk about their opponent here in just a second. Yeah, there's at least there's two Big Ten teams in the semifinals there, Gordon.
Yeah, in the semis. Big Ten on Big Ten next week.
Yeah, it is. So that leads us next to our next game, and that would be the Indiana Hoosiers, number 1, blows out Alabama 38-3 in the Rose Bowl, the granddaddy of them all. Yeah, the undefeated Hoosiers took control of it from start to finish, and the most lopsided college football playoff quarterfinal game in history. Of course, because we've only had 1 year of this. Who writes this stuff? Gordon, what'd you think about this performance here? Indiana was up 17-0 at halftime, and they outgained Alabama 407-193. Scored on 6 of their 7 possessions after starting the game 3 and out. Pretty impressive.
What Indiana did was they went to Dallas, Texas, and when Michael Irvin pulled off his belt, they snatched his belt, went back up there, and was whooping Alabama's ass with it is what they was doing. Because that was an ass kicking. And I really hope a whole lot of kids don't watch this.
Look, some key moments here in this game. Alabama got stuffed on a 4th and 1 early in the game, which led Indiana on a short field touchdown. And then Ty Simpson, late in the first half, got hit pretty hard, cracked a rib, and he was benched in the 3rd quarter. And he was in street clothes by the 4th quarter. And they bring in their backup quarterback, and there was just absolutely no chance at all once he come in after.
Alabama's got a good receiver, don't they?
Well, Jeremy Bernard is probably their best receiver this year. Ryan Williams, who was a freshman last year, he was like 17 years old. He's a sophomore this year. Has not really had the good connection with Simpson that he had last year with Jalen Milroe. But yeah, they've got a couple of good receivers over there.
He don't have to worry about Tyler Simpson next year. He declared for the draft. But anyways.
Yeah, good luck. Somebody drafted.
Well, Ryan Williams could transfer to Ohio State. We'll pay him, and he could play alongside 2 other guys, one same age as him, and the other one's a freshman. That'd be a hell of a trio.
It would. It would be for sure. And then Indiana's running game, man. Black and Hemby, both of them 2 guys, been pretty good all year and continue in this game right here.
Well, I really thought Alabama would do more. By the way, your wife okay?
Yeah.
She's a Bama fan, right? I said she.
Yeah, okay, a little bit. Just a little disappointed. Wanting Kalen DeBoer gone, though, is really what that is. What's Nick Saban back? That's not
happening, but
no.
I give her my condolences because I know what that feels like, especially this year.
I know it all too well, but yeah.
Get to the first round playoffs and second because they won the first round.
Yeah, they actually beat Oklahoma.
Get to the quarterfinals and get your ass stomped. Yeah, I know what that feels like. But anyways, I really thought that I thought they would be able to run at least a little bit on Indiana. They couldn't do nothing until Indiana said, you know what, we're just tired of stopping you all the time. We'll let you get close enough to get a field goal. That's all you're getting, but we'll let you get close enough to get a field goal. You're wearing us out, man. We're just scoring too fast, and then we're stuck on the field all day. So, I mean, that was bad. I mean,
yeah, that's bad. It's Indiana's, the first time they've reached the semifinal because first time they reached the playoffs was last year. They're undefeated still, won their first bowl game since 1991. Kurt Cinetti, man, you got to give it to him. He's all business over there, and he's just a really good coach.
He is a good coach. Now, the test is going to be, how is it going to be next year when Fernando Aladeus Mendoza goes to the NFL and he's got to get a new quarterback? I'm sure he'll get one.
Yeah, he's just going to go with little brother over there, Mendoza. No, I think that'd be a mistake if he did that. But, hey, it's bad when you're bringing up your backup to play Alabama because you're up so big, right?
Yeah.
What's that saying? So now, just saying. So now, Gordon, that leads us to our last game, the one that ended college football playoffs. A quarterfinal day, and that is number 6 Ole Miss defeats Georgia 39-34 in the All-State Sugar Bowl. This was an instant classic. Ole Miss had 20 fourth quarter points to come back and beat the Dogs 39-34 in what was the best semifinal game of the day of the weekend. They were down 21-12 at halftime, but Trinidad Chambliss and the boys and Lucas Carnero, I mean, out here kicking 50-some yarders, like 2 or 3 of them, I think.
Well, it had appropriate name Sugar Bowl because that was a sweet game.
Yeah, it was.
That was actually entertaining. It was fun. It wasn't bad defense. It was just really good offense.
Yeah.
I mean, Chambliss made some plays that made me want to rewind it and watch the shit 3 or 4 times. Especially one where he made that big loop-de-loop and come back 1 yard away from the goal line, then flipped it out like this and hit someone 10 yards downfield to end up getting the first down.
Yeah.
I mean, he did 2 or 3 plays like that, and I'm like, why can't that guy play like this?
And the funny thing is, Gordon, he didn't even start this year. Austin Simmons was the quarterback until he got hurt. Trinidad Chambliss just, he was a D2 player last year. Hits the portal, he's like the 800th ranked quarterback or something in the portal. It shows what everybody knows about the portal, right? Because there's a gym, like a hidden gym way down there in Trinidad Chambliss, because he looked like one of the better quarterbacks in the nation the other.
All year he has, ever since he started.
Yeah, that's true.
Their one loss was Georgia this year, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was. They lost to them earlier in the year, and I believe they had a big lead in that when Georgia come back and beat them like 43-35, I think it was.
Well, I still had Ole Miss as my dark horse for the championship. And technically, they still are the dark horse. They still got the longest shot.
Yeah, they do. And it's, Ole Miss, they reached their first college football semifinal too, because, hey.
It's only the second year of it.
Avenging their only regular season loss, overcoming the Lane Kiffin departure. This is why I've been pulling for him, is because of the Lane Kiffin.
Me too.
And
no other reason.
Yeah. And Carnero, I think his kicks 55, which set a Sugar Bowl record, and then he hit a 56 one, which also set a Sugar Bowl record because he broke his own record right there. What a rag on that kid. He's probably going to be kicking on Sundays.
Oh, yeah. We'll take him.
And Gunnar Stockton, I think, played really well as well, too, for Georgia. Just
Gunnar, both the offensive lines both played good. There wasn't a whole lot of pressure. I mean, not quick pressure.
Yeah.
I mean, they had good corners, so there was some pressure from coverage, but not quick, not like Ohio State saw. Them 2 guys straight through. Yeah, he snapped the ball, and you see 2 guys in the backfield already. Nothing like that. Good lines. Both of them played really good on the offensive line. They played good in the trenches. Neither one of them gave a whole lot rushing. I mean, there's a few good runs, but it was mainly good plays and passing, voiding, making plays out there, stuff like that. It was a really entertaining game. It was a game that I don't like watching football the same game, like on the replay.
Right.
But I would watch that one again because it was that good.
Yeah. And, Harrison Wallace, Penn State transfer, right? 156 yards receiving and a touchdown. He had a huge game for Ole Miss. He was Chambliss's favorite target that day.
Obviously.
So there's our little recap of the quarterfinals. Now, Gordon, it is that time where we make our picks for the semifinals. And let's go ahead and let's start it out with the number 10 Miami Hurricanes taking on the Ole Miss Rebels Thursday at 7:30 on ESPN. This is the Verbo Fiesta Bowl. Miami is a 3.5-point favorite. Gordon, what are you thinking here?
Once again, I'm not going to go with who I want to win because, if who I want to win and who I think will win is the same, it's fine. But I want Ole Miss to win. But Miami's got 3 guys on defense, and 2 of them are on the line, and one of them's a linebacker and rushes from the same side. It's too hard to block. And I like Chambliss, but I think it's going to be a close game. Give me Miami because I won't go with who I think will win, no longer who I want to win. My picks were horrible last week. Couldn't get no worse.
My picks were bad too, but I'm going to roll here on Miami. The defense has looked really good last game. Carson Beck played good enough to where, he didn't have to do a whole lot with the way the defense played. And then, the running backs, Fletcher, Brown, they had decent games. Ole Miss, like we said, played the most entertaining game of the weekend last weekend. Ole Miss is without Lane Kiffin, and they're facing probably their toughest defensive test so far in this playoffs. I would say so. Even though Georgia's known for that defense, not as good as Miami's, I don't think. But with that being said, this is kind of probably, I'm not going with who I think's going to win, but who I kind of want to win. So I'm going to roll with the road. Oh, they're all on the road. Oh, Jesse James, give me the Ole Miss Rebels to come in to the Fiesta Bowl and to get the win and to go to the championship and kind of be like, hey, Lane, you want a ring? Forget it. We're winning this thing. Yeah, earn one. Because you left us high and dry and we won it even without you. Give me the Rebels in this one. And, of course, they covered. And now that leads us to Friday night's game. The number 5 Oregon Ducks and the number 1 Indiana Hoosiers at 7:30 on ESPN. Indiana's a 3.5-point favorite. Gordon, this is the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl from Atlanta, Georgia. Who you got in this Big Ten semifinal matchup?
I want to tell you what, this is either going to be a really good defensive game and close contest, or it's going to be another one like last week in Asheville. Indiana beat Oregon earlier in the season and beat them at the Alton Zoo. It's hard to beat the same team twice in the same year, but I still think Indiana's going to do it. I think Indiana's going to make it all the way to the championship game. I don't know. There's something about it because Indiana, they had a couple hiccups. They had a hiccup early in the season against Penn State. I think they just walked in there, played with themselves the night before, and sleptwalked through the game. But then they played Ohio State later on. Yeah, they won by 3, but they won by 3. And they barely won. But like I said, a barely win or a huge win, it's a win. Doesn't matter how it happened or how many points it was by. So give me a close Indiana victory, possibly not a cover.
Yeah, so these two teams, they played earlier in the season. Indiana absolutely dominated Oregon in this game. And we thought, boy, Indiana may be for real here. And then we're like, well, maybe they're not because, like you said, the Penn State game, then they beat Ohio State. Then they blow out Alabama. And you're like, okay, Indiana's for real here. They're a real heavyweight this year. And then Oregon, on the other hand, they took care of business last week against Texas Tech. They give up a bunch to JMU, and people were like, they give up 34 points to JMU. And then they blank Texas Tech. Kind of a crazy turnaround there. I kind of would like to see Will Stein, that offense, put up some points in this game because, he's going to be the next Kentucky coach. And if it just looked good for the Kentucky brand, I don't think that happens. I'm with you here, Gordon. I think Indiana gets the win. And they win the Peach Bowl, and they don't cover, though. Give me a 3-point win for Indiana. Oregon covers, though. This is going to be a lot more competitive game than it was last time. So yeah, give me the Hoosiers in this one. And yeah,
you think they're going to double up the Ducks?
Double up on the Ducks, and it's going to be Indiana and Ole Miss is what I think in the finals. And we'll talk about that one next week when we come back on here. And Gordon thinks it's going to be Miami and Indiana. So we'll see how it goes. But we go think Indiana wins it. Should be a good couple of games. These playoffs have been fun, especially the last round was really fun. The first game and the last game of the last 2 rounds. I know you didn't like the first game too well, but those were the 2 best games, most 2 entertaining games of the weekend.
Oh, yeah, by far. The best game, of course, was the Ole Miss Georgia game. That was just exciting as hell. That was a good game. That was a game we're staying up a little bit for.
And that will do it for us here on this week's Pick'ems editions of the College Football Playoff. We'll be back here. We'll talk National Championship next week, and we'll catch you all later.